I think what I've been very fascinated by is the reaction around Azzi and how people characterize Azzi in the moment. And then
Mm,
also what I think about Dallas. The Dallas thing for me is super easy. Whether it was planned, whether it was, whatever it was, I think it was the wrong decision for Dallas to step in. Whether they
mm,
did it to save and protect AZ or they planned it, it was the wrong plan or it was the wrong save.
mhm.
Dallas, AZ is a grown woman. She has been in front of media press conferences and media scrums more than the average person because she played for UConn. Hello, everyone, and welcome to No Off Season. I'm Zena and
I'm Layshia Clarendon.
today on the show, we're pulling back the curtain on training camp in the W. The pressure, the competition, the reality behind the scenes, and the difference between just filling a spot and fighting for one. But first, we touched on this a little bit already on the pod, but we got to dig a little deeper on one of the bigger moments from last week, Azzi Fudd's introductory press conference with the Dallas Wings. Now, at first, it did feel pretty routine, typical number one pick stuff, big expectations, fresh start, and of course, her reunion on the court with Paige Bueckers. And then there was one question that drew a little bit more attention, or also a lot of bit more ire than others. A reporter asked AZ and Paige about their personal romantic relationship, if it was still happening. It's been public since July 2025, and we haven't gotten public news that it had ended, but this reporter asked to find out if it was still happening. And also, in the midst of it happening, had they turned to other WNBA couples to find out about, how to get going with the dynamics and the chemistry of it and how to handle that, essentially. I'm
That
trying to
part's actually
paraphrase.
kind of funny to me.
Yeah, I'm trying to paraphrase it, but I'm sure you all have seen the video before and seen it already. And now, before AZ could say anything, before AZ did say anything, because we don't know if she was ever going to say anything, but before AZ did say anything, one of the Wings PR staffers stepped in and shut the question down. Again, this is not anything new. If you're already in this space talking women's basketball, you probably have already seen this. If you haven't, welcome to the moment. Now, that moment stuck with people because it feels like women's basketball is at a turning point right now where the game has never been bigger. And at the same time, the conversation around players is getting a lot more personal. It's getting bigger with the media is getting bigger with the moment of women's basketball. And what happens when it gets bigger, more gets involved, right? It's
Yep.
not just the basketball that's covered. It's the personalities, it's the dynamics, it's the couples, it's the off-court life, it's the everything that comes along
Mhm.
with the celebrity, Laysia, of being in the WNBA and also being a number one pick and all the above. So I got some thoughts. And
Oof.
I wanna first get into uh, I think the basics, because our thoughts have not been shared just yet about this moment. So we want to take the moment to just talk a little bit about it. But Lay, first and foremost, do you think the team stepping in and shutting down that question was the right move? And what does it say about the space that women's basketball is taking up in the culture at large that this moment happened and that everyone's talking about it?
Oh, God. I mean, I think that everyone's talking about it is like the first thing that comes to me. It's like what I thought about with the CBA. It's like we're in the big leagues now. This isn't small
Mm.
play. And the amount of times when I was playing where stuff would happen, like internal drama or, stuff that happens in professional sports. And like teammates would look at it or I talk to partners or people and be like, thank God we're not covered that big. Cause like that would be a story, right? Like in the midst of
Mm.
fighting for so much coverage, the amount of times I was like, ooh, thank God they don't be watching us like that. But now they are. Like that's kind
Right.
of the like, and it gives me a bit of anxiety because I'm like, ooh, like that scrutiny is like the fact that we're talking about this still a week later, right? Like we see on the ESPNs on all the like talk shows covering the NBA where we're just like rolling our eyes of like, damn, they're making a story about this. Like they're nitpicking every little
Mhm.
detail of the angle, but like that is the reality
Mhm.
that comes with more coverage, with more money, with more literal media covering it. It's like it's a the curse part of the blessing, I guess. It's like
Mm.
the whatever all those sayings are. And so I think that's really one of the big things of this is like there's just more coverage. The other part is like, I mean, in women's sports, this is probably nothing that hasn't been said before. Is just like we're not talking about this in the NBA because like we know there's queer players in the NBA and every men's sports. Like queer people exist in men's
Correct.
sports.
Correct.
They just have one of the best codes of they don't talk about it, they protect each other, right? Like, we live out loud. That's, like, the beauty and the blessing
Mm,
of the WNBA is, like, people live and love out loud, and so, the fact that that question was asked, I think, is just speaks to, like, the reality of the women's side of the game is that, like, we have had public couples. We've had Allie Quigley and Squiggly
yeah.
and Courtney Vandersloot
Yep.
get married and talk about it. We have like when he asked the question, I was like, yeah, did she call AT and Dewana and be like, yo, how do you write? Like, there's very well-known
Mm,
public couples. Kurt Miller was on the Connecticut Sun, where there's well-known fact that people date each other in our league, and that is a thing to deal with in corporate world. Usually, you go tell HR, or if you're a higher up person dating a lower person, like you can't, right? Your teammates are on an
hmm
even playing field. You can date each other. That's the reality. We spend all of our time with each other. Also, who the F else are you going to date half the time
Right.
you're in
Yeah.
professional sports? So
Right.
just like that reality that it exists is not a secret or a surprise, right? But I think the thing here that's interesting, and this is my big takeaway, is that like, and we talked about it, I think last week with the Valkyries and how they handled the draft, is like we need to be prepared for media coverage in the WNBA now. We're not in the small league. So whether this was prepared for by Dallas or not, the way it was handled was like, weird. Like,
Mm,
we don't know. Maybe AZ wanted her people to say it for her. Maybe she wanted to speak. Like, we literally just do not know
right.
the
Right.
reality, right? And so all we can do is read all the cues and wonder. But it was like a, huh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was
Yeah.
interesting. Like you just wonder behind the scenes, are they prepared? What conversations are being had? And it's a lot of pressure on two really young players, and that's the part I really feel for them is like, oof, and we'll get into it more a little bit later, but I
Yeah.
feel for the fact that they are stepping into a realm where like, and AZ's been in the bright lights before, but like now she's joining a league where like the W used to like your college realm might have been bigger than your pro team, but now the
Right.
jump to the W is like that is actually a jump now in terms of like the media attention and the money and the like notoriety and the scrutiny is where it should be in the WNBA.
It's a great point because previously it was, especially for teams like UConn, it was a step down. Sue Bird
Yeah.
has mentioned this a lot about having all of the media attention in stores and then getting to the WNBA in 2002 and being like, what happened? Where is everyone? Where's all the
Mhm.
support, the love, the eyes, the criticism, the everything? She just felt like it just kind of dissipated as soon as they got to this level. It is the complete opposite now. It really does elevate in terms of just how much scrutiny happens with women's basketball. Now, that all said, I think you listed out a lot of great points, and you talk about more common couples that we're seeing now, like AT, Dewana Bonner. Of course, last year we had Dejanay Carrington and Alyssa Smith on one team at one point, right? But I'm thinking about like back in the day of like Penny
Yeah.
Taylor and Diana Taurasi. Like imagine the if that was a conversation. It's very interesting too. We think about the championships they won, the excellence that they were in at that point. Penny Taylor and Diana Taurasi. If a conversation would have been had in the same way that people are asking questions around, does Diana Taurasi have any pull over the roster to have Penny Taylor stay? Like, I think Penny Taylor's shooting helped her stay on that team, but just thinking about the fact that that is a new conversation that this generation, this era of women's basketball players are now having to manage. It's a new feeling, and there is no blueprint. And so it's going to be awkward. It's going to be real awkward figuring this out. I think it's going to be awkward for the media to figure out exactly how to handle it because they haven't done it for so long. I have to say we haven't done it for so long because we're now part of the media lay. But
Heyo.
so it's going to be a little bit awkward. Everyone's going to get their sea legs a little bit. Now, there are several ways to me of looking at the situation. You could look at, was the question appropriate or not? I think the concept of asking a player, one, are you still romantically involved with this partner? Because it's public and because there's been no indication that it ended, it's like, was it necessary? No, but I'm still not mad at the fact that you asked if it's still going because it is relevant when you think about team dynamics. But then even with that, you could kind of break it up and being like, well, we've seen them win a championship together. Not only win a championship where they win the championship Paige's senior year, but in that Final Four run, AZ gets most outstanding player of the Final Four. I can't tell you what better dynamics that could have been to
Yeah.
win a national championship and then also have one of those, the two of them, be most outstanding player. So it's like
Yeah.
the first part of the question of like, are you guys still together? How that's going to impact dynamic. It's like, meh. There's evidence that one, that they're still together, and there's evidence too that the dynamics are not being impacted or haven't been impacted before. Probably won't. It probably will only be better for them now, playing in the W and having that level of continuity. The next part about this that's about this question was, have you asked other couples about their, how they manage their chemistry and et cetera, and the dynamics? Now, a lot of fans I've seen been like, well, yeah, if two players are dating on a team, like that is important when you think about team dynamics, et cetera. And I'm like, fair. Like I completely
I'm
understand that.
yeah.
That's a very real question. We've seen when players aren't dating, but they just can't stand each other. That's been questioned, right? That's been asked
Yeah,
by the
dating I've
media.
been in the locker room with teammates who dating, and you walk in and you're like, "Oh, they're not talking? Okay, cool, yeah."
Oh,
Right?
yeah. So
Like,
that's
yeah, you do the thing and you're like, "Okay." Yeah, quarterback.
that's
Because right, like, it's interpersonal dynamics, and it adds another layer of, like, whatever y'all got going on at home does come and affect the team at any given
mhm.
moment, depending on how you handle your conflict, how you handle your relationship. Can you take critical feedback? Do you hold each other accountable the same way teammates would who
Mm.
aren't dating? Can I hold one of the couple accountable without the other version of the couple being upset, right? There's, like, a lot at play when you add in the fact that, and that's why I kinda made the point with Kurt, 'cause I'm so curious because he has been in it. Maybe the coach who's
Mm.
done it the most, maybe, I don't know if we went back through all the rosters, we don't know everyone who was always out, but, like,
Right.
he has extensive experience. He's not the coach right now, but the GM at having players who've navigated that. So back when
Mm.
as Thomas and AT who dated in Connecticut, right? Like, that's when I was on the Connecticut Sun, and so you have just team dynamics that are a reality, and, I think that is something to consider, right? Like,
Yeah.
there is a
And
reality to it, and there's no avoiding it.
right. And that's why I don't necessarily dislike the idea of, have you asked other players about, what that dynamic, et cetera, is like? And it's a question of, the space. Like, could that question have been asked for a personal one-off that you get with AZ after the introductory press conference? Perhaps, right? We don't know what was available to this writer. If, that he felt that this was the right arena to be able to ask that question, whatever. So I'm not really going to focus too much on the question. I think maybe the way that it was phrased could have been different, and also some context answers some of the question that was asked, so I'm not gonna worry too much about that.
Yeah.
But
That to me
the
is like the media is growing now where it's gonna be
yeah,
like, we're gonna be doing
questions
the thing,
we've
yes.
seen people ask Caitlin Clark crazy questions, right? We
Yeah.
like when in her introductory press conference. This is gonna keep happening. So I'm not people are gonna be out of
Mhm.
pocket whether it's 5 years from now or tomorrow. People are gonna be out of pocket. I'm kind of like
Yes.
less concerned about that. I think what I've been very fascinated by is the reaction around AZ and how people characterize AZ in the moment. And then
Mhm.
also what I think about Dallas. The Dallas thing for me is super easy. Whether it was planned, whether it was, whatever it was, I think it was the wrong decision for Dallas to step in. Whether they
Mm.
did it to save and protect AZ or they planned it, it was the wrong plan or it was the wrong save.
Mhm.
Dallas, AZ is a grown woman. She has been in front of media press conferences and media scrums more than the average person because she played for UConn. We cannot believe that someone with that level of public scrutiny and as a UConn player, but also a commercialized player, right? Someone that has been in the spotlight for a while is not capable of answering a question, even if it's not answering the question, right? Even if it is
Like,
just
you
to
think it would have been more powerful from her to be like, "I won't be commenting on my
oh,
public life," right?
if she
Yeah.
wanted to do that. And even in what we know about UConn, because they're so well media trained, Afisa Collier's talked about this, like, because they're so media trained, they do this. They know how to non-answer. They know how to pivot. Now, again, if this was planned, I think the plan was the wrong route. I think that it should have been AZ being
Better
able to
play.
say her
Yeah.
from her, raise her hand and say she doesn't raise her hand. It's her press conference, but her being able to say, I appreciate the question. I'm excited about Paige, but I'm not going to answer anything about couples. I haven't talked, I'm not, let's keep it moving. Boom.
Yeah,
Doesn't
more
have to be exact.
powerful from her.
Yeah, and keep it going. But then the fact that they stepped in immediately empathizes her, it coddles her, it continues this notion of the people's princess. And yes, you could be the people's princess, but that in itself, I think, is only going to hinder AZ, because not only is it going to say, oh, she can't answer the tough questions, it's also going to hurt Paige in that now you have to be the one to answer the questions for her,
Mm.
right? People were waiting for Paige to say something. Now, so that's the Dallas part of this. Now to the part, and I'm going to close it, my close at least for this is the AZ part. The part that I think there's been less conversation about.
Roll the tape.
Roll the tape. Roll the tape. If you watch this very closely, and I'm not a body language expert, but you just got to watch this very closely. AZ is being asked this question. And I want you to, if you take the time to watch the full 30-minute press conference, her face during that question is very similar to some of the faces that she had during some other questions. She is listening. All of the people that are saying she looks pissed are the same people that are the problem when a woman, any woman, sits in a conference room, sits in a team meeting, sits in any space and doesn't say anything, and automatically people are like, are you mad? Are you or the people that walk
Smile
down the
more.
street and say, oh, girl, put a smile on your face. You're too pretty to be looking like that.
Yeah.
She was listening. Stop assuming that someone is pissed or that someone is lost or someone is whatever just because they're stoic, just because they have nothing on their face. And there's a lot of people that were like, yo, she was cool as a cucumber, like, no. And that's fine. I think that that's exactly what it was. She was just listening. At the point that this reporter asks, have you talked to other couples? You see AZ processing in real time, and she nods her head. It is slight, but she nods. And when you do that, when you're listening to someone, it's not necessarily that you agree with them. It's not that you're enthusiastic about what they're asking or whatever. It's that you are processing. I hear you.
Right.
Whatever she wanted to do after that, up to her. But I saw her nod her head, which tells me that she was processing, which also tells me, which we'll never know, she may have had the wherewithal to be able to say or take even a breath, just a well, and then whatever she wants to say after that. Whether she wants to address it, whether she wants to do a non-answer, whether she wants to say, F you, I don't like this question, whatever. She was processing. She needed that moment. And I don't think Dallas, the PR person that may have been well-intended, I think was well-intended, but they didn't give her the opportunity to go after that. And so that's where I see that nod, and it makes me go, in that moment I was like, oh, she's a full adult. She can listen. She can process. She understands. And that is, everyone keeps saying that she was pissed. She looks mad. And I'm like, no, stop doing that to women.
Yes, that part.
Stop. RBF, resting B face. Stop. She was just listening. That's just what it was. So that's one part of this very big conversation that I wanted to take out as a thread. We've been going on this for 18 minutes now. We have a full show to do. I'll ask this really quickly because I think it does kind of touch on it. I mentioned this with the Diana Taurasi, Penny Taylor thing, for example. I think it's a very different circumstance, by the way. I think Penny Taylor was she was on that team already and like part of the growth and everything that was going on with Phoenix at the time. Olympian, exactly. Like she had her own established career. So this is very different in that regard. But this idea of Paige Bueckers being on this team and having pull, being the star, being the center. You look at what the moves were made in the offseason, or in the offseason, the free agent period that we've had, which is like 2 days. All these bigs coming in, right? All these bigs being signed. People wondering, do we think that Paige Bueckers had pull to be able to get Azzi Fudd to Dallas, and how much of that was involved? Your thoughts on it?
Absolutely. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, right? Like, and I think the conversation people are having is like, did she get her girlfriend on the team? Like, okay, like we're getting into those I think the way people want to like pick out the part of it, right? But like does a star player have pull to get the people they want to play with? Yes, right?
Absolutely.
And they should have pull to get the play. Like LeBron getting who he wants at LA, like where he's gonna get the people like
Mm-hmm.
I could list all of, like, Nafisa Collier, like, did she have any input in probably, like, as Olivia Miles? Like, yes, like, that's actually something about the pro game is, like, your best players versus college, like, actually have a say, and there is more synergy between GMs, coaches, so you're gonna look and Paige is, like, she's a star in
Yeah.
every facet of that word, right? From her game on the court to culturally how she stood to like she has that suave, that leadership, like
Mm.
that. She has like the making of everything you need. So, do you ask the question like one, who do you want to play with? Who do you think fits best in our team, in our system, right? I was pulling for Olivia Miles because I wanted to see them combo guard, but actually at the end of the day, if I was the GM, it's like Paige is really good with the ball in her hands, and you want the ball in Paige's hands. So
Right,
like
right.
she should be the point guard, and she's proven she can be a point guard. She's not a scorer who has to go play the point, like, she actually it has that ability, right? Has the
Mm-hmm.
IQ, can handle the pressure, can still play in pick and roll, can get the ball where it needs to go. So, her being on the ball is great, and they went and got the best shooter in women's college basketball to be someone she could pass to who can knock down open shots. Like, it made a lot of sense. And so in that way, I'm like, yeah, it was a no-brainer in that for them to pick AZ. They could have gone multiple ways. It wasn't like they picked someone who was an obvious number 1 pick, like some other player who they took
Mm-hmm.
like Jewel Lloyd was coming out or something in her
Right.
prime, and they were like, "We're gonna take AZ over Jewel and make it obvious," right? So I'm on that way, I'm kinda like, "What are we talking about, people?" But they do date, so there is a reality, but can I
Mm-hmm.
think Paige can hold the reality of wanting what's best for her team and, like, her situation, and also hold the reality of wanting the best for AZ, who she is dating, who she's with, who she loves, I'm assuming, right? They've talked about it on their Instagram?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and, like, I love that for them. I love that they get the opportunity to play together now in the pro game, and we've seen their synergy on the court.
Yep.
The concern is gonna be, and the concern if I was a teammate would be like, how do relationship dynamics affect team culture? And that to me lies in the coaching staff and the GM, right? Of like, can the coach
Mm.
hold both players accountable? Does the coach give the star player more leeway? And that's a problem across every team you play on. Like, do you do that thing where like you won't ever say to the star? Because you're the coach who doesn't have the guts to coach the team, right? Like, oh, do you
Right.
so to me, it's like, can cultures as a team handle, right, the ability for teammates to date? How do they handle it? And then how do
Right.
individual people who are dating each other there is a maturity level, like, you need to not let that be affecting the locker room, and there's the reality
Mm-hmm.
or, like, mitigate it as much as you can, because there's a reality to, like, me dating my partner affects the locker room, like, when I come in there and I have a bad day, like, yeah, I could have just been fighting with my partner in the parking lot. Now I'm frustrated and now I'm not engaged,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. That is the reality of life. Like we're humans. We date people, we break up, we have family who gets sick, we have kids who get sick, we get stressed. And so it's just another reality of us being full people who
Right.
also play this sport.
I love the way you're putting that, and I also love the fact that you're again, this idea of coddling these players, but really, limiting and shorting them their intelligence.
Yeah.
Like, I in their capacity for being able to see the positives of having the continuity of someone like AZ on a team with Paige, right? Paige being able to know someone that she's known, sure, played at UConn for years, but has been knowing since she was 16 years old or so, like even, early on in these Team USA camps, et cetera. So
Yeah.
there is a level of familiarity that you cannot buy. You cannot go find that on the free agents market
Mm-mm.
or in the draft or whatever. Like, in this
Their
case, you could.
chemistry. Yeah.
In this
Yeah.
in this case, you actually could, and so that's crazy, how rare that is to be able to find.
Yeah.
But that all being said, I do wanna close this conversation out with, this is gonna keep happening because players in the W date players in the W. It's not a new concept, and it's gonna keep happening, especially with new media that have never had to ask a male player, um, what is it like to date your teammate? This is new territory, and we're gonna have all these think pieces and we're gonna have these moments. But what's new too is that because there's this celebration in the W space of being, love the way you put it, live out loud, there also comes this pressure now to communicate that to people and to live into that, right? There's all these TikTok edits of relationships and
Yep.
people shipping people, right? And looking at, Sanaya Rivers' Instagrams to be like, hold on, her and Marina Mabry, what's going on there? And like,
Oh
there's
my
just,
God, I love them.
I know they're so cute. But anyway, the point is, they're like, but I remember when that was getting built,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of like, and what people are trying to figure out what's going on there. It is now so public. It is now such on a
Yep.
platform that you look at a couple like Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe
Mm-hmm.
breaking up, and they are free to do whatever they please. But
Mm-hmm.
the fact that they decided to share that with us publicly, and communicate that. Sure, there's a
Yeah.
podcast in the mix, but F that podcast. It doesn't matter. It's about the humans that are behind it and them feeling like we deserved that. I
Mm-hmm.
think that that is part of this conversation that
Yep.
now is being conflated into the conversation about the WNBA, is that if you're in this relationship or if you're celebrating any part of your life that isn't just the basketball, we, the fans, that we people on the outside now deserve to know when any status
Mm,
of that
right.
changes, right? Like, God forbid someone dates someone in the league and then goes and turns and dates an NBA player. God forbid, right? Like, fluidity, right? God forbid someone breaks up. God forbid someone says, actually, my beliefs on something have
Yeah.
changed or my
Yeah.
stance on something has changed. This is what is what's so interesting about the WNBA, and I'm sure, Layshia, you feel like this, is you become spokespeople in a way that I don't know the men's games and the male athletes feel in the same way. It
Mhm.
feels like you have to then put out your entire life to everyone.
Right.
Um, I just wanted to know what your thoughts on that are before we move
Yeah.
on.
You start to represent, like, so much more for people, and I think
Right.
there is underlying pressure. I'm yeah, I'm curious if this is happening right now for people of, like, losing the Sue Bird, Megan Rapinoe couple that got propped up and, like, represented so much, right? And I know
Right.
what that's like to represent so much. Like, after coming out of top surgery, I was like, "Oh, fuck." Like, you almost
Mm,
become like a symbol, less so
yeah.
than a person, and you because you mean so much to people, and it's like it's not from a malicious place at all for people who are just like there's a reason why people get, like, idealized or deified is because, like,
Mhm.
usually happens in groups because we don't have enough representation, right?
That's
Like,
right.
there's a reason why. It's because, like, it's beautiful when we finally get to see, like, a queer couple, like, oh my god, in sport, in the world. You get to see, like, a Black person loving out loud. You get to see 2 Black
Mhm.
people, 2 Black queer people. Like, that is so beautiful, and I love that our league has got that, particularly because there's a time where we didn't have that. We couldn't talk about it. It was like, "Shh." Like, even when
Yeah.
people in the league knew, they're like, "Don't say it out loud." Like,
Mhm.
they know we're gay, but don't tell them we're gay."
Right.
Like,
Oh,
it's
I
like
still remember the very first,
yeah.
the first WNBA ads, and they had everybody caked up in makeup and doing all
Yes.
these sexy dances.
Yeah. So, like,
Try
we know
like, it's a thing. It's a
the
thing.
trajectory and the history is important of, like, why we got here and how and, like, so now
Mhm.
we're here, right? And now we're at the point where there's, like, this thing with Azzi and Paige that I think of, like, losing Megan and Sue, that there's, like, who is our next, like, major
Mm.
power couple to be held up? Because, like, Sue and Megan were, like, they were global stars, like, they're powerful. It was like, "Oh my god, soccer meets basketball," and, like, they're doing the
And
podcast, they care
goats.
about
Right.
social justice, like, they're the 2 of the greatest of all times, like, they were, like, unicorns in that way, like, this
Mhm.
doesn't happen. I'm, like, imagining, like, who on the NBA side are those 2 players when they finally get together, like so it's so beautiful, but I think people want that next, like, there's a loss.
Version. Mhm.
So they're in their public loss, their private loss of them as, like, human beings, right? But, like, the public is going through the loss of what that couple meant to them.
Right. Right.
And that's, like, I think the grieving that you're seeing happen for folks in different comments and stuff is like, "Oh, no, like, they meant so much to me." I think in that is, like, don't forget these are people. So, like,
Yep.
have your grief, maybe say it in your group chat, don't say it out loud, that's not, like, remembering. And so my second point is I think it's like this conversation between the public and the private space, and having lived it, like I found later after top surgery where I was like, yeah, I don't want to share so much of my life anymore. Or like, what do I get to have that's only mine? And I intentionally started not sharing things publicly because I'm like, oh, once you do, it's like, it's not yours anymore. It's like, it's up for the taking.
Yeah.
And there's this conversation around being a public figure and like what people have a right to. And I think that's what you're getting at is like, when you're a celebrity, when you're a public person, there's a reality of like, you have a following and you get to make money because you have a following, right? So like we don't get to deny that. Like my therapist told me, she was like, you can't be out here like I want to be on TV and then be mad people know you at the grocery store.
Mm.
Like they see you on TV, you work on TV, you get
Mhm.
money because you're public.
Right.
So like we can't just be throwing the fans under the bus either. Like just leave me alone. But there is a balance, and I think we do have a right to privacy, and that's always the like the push pull. The entire picture of it is like.
Yeah, it's true. That's what's so hard about this because as you relayed, visibility, representation matters, especially
Yeah.
for the queer community overall.
Yeah.
And there is such a concentration of that visibility and that representation within the W. And because everyone's living out loud, it's like, oh wow, it's just like the smorgasbord of just like all of the ways in which you could live your life and be yourself and be authentic to who you are, and then also who you can love and how that love manifests. And
Yeah.
then it also creates pressure. And
Mhm.
no individual player, no couple, no anyone owes that human, like them living their entire lives to or for anyone. Like that is
Right.
for them. So this
It's
is
like
an
a gift when we share, like, you get to let
correct.
yeah, like
Correct.
mhm.
Well, I mean, it's been a week since this press conference, but as you can see, there's so many threads still being pulled from this conversation. And again, this ain't going away. So
Mhm.
it's people are still going to get acclimated to having these types of conversations. And I'm excited to be great, like to be a part of it and to
Yeah.
hopefully make it more mainstream and normal. And to be able to have insight from, someone like you, Layshia. All right,
Woo.
let's keep it going and talk actually about WNBA training camps. All right, y'all, WNBA camps, training camps opened last Sunday. And we actually wanted to get into what it feels like behind the scenes. Because the reality is in camp, opportunity and a little bit of anxiety are kind of living side by side as players are fighting for spots. And there's more spots, right? This
Yay!
year,
Oh,
teams
yeah.
have a dozen roster spots plus 2 developmental slots to fill. And players are trying to figure out pretty quickly, am I really in the mix here? Do I have an opportunity here? Or am I just a body to fill the space? Am I one of the 30 people that are at this training camp trying to figure out what's going on? Now, at the same time, the stars are moving a little differently. They're not trying to make the team, they're trying to get ready for the season. So it's a different
Mhm.
mentality
Yep.
completely. Lay, as an 11-year vet, you've been through a lot of these WNBA training camps.
Mhm.
What does training camp actually feel like when you're in it?
I gotta calm my body down 'cause
Oh, I know. I want to give you a hug through the screen, I'm sure,
emotional
thinking about it.
support, yeah.
Yeah.
I need everyone to emotionally support me. But we were talking on our prep call, like, what does camp feel like? I was like, "Hell." It's like,
Oh,
oh
that's real.
god, yeah, having gone through it too, like, through the trajectory of my career and
Mhm.
thinking about being a rookie going through it and looking at Tamika Catchings not being in all the reps and being like, "Oh, yeah, she" and then, like, going into
She's good.
in the back end of her career, yeah, like, she don't need to be running and doing all this, like, let me know when we're actually doing the things we need to do. Um,
That's
so,
so
like,
funny.
I mean, a typical day looks like so for one, the timing is, like, on display this year because the draft, because it was condensed, but even in years where there's
Mm.
not a CBA, all that's happening, like, I went to the Final Four, came back to Berkeley campus, got the call, "You're invited to the draft," go to the draft, come back home, "No, I'm going to Indiana," then leave however many a week later, I think, or something, maybe 2, we'll check the
That's
dates.
wild.
Finishing college while I'm in camp, right? Like, you fly out there, you do your physicals, you do, like it's just a whirlwind, right?
Mm.
And those are for the rookies who are going into it who, like, they just have no runway, absolutely no runway to get prepared for this. And then people coming back from overseas, like, even if you're not a rookie, it's just kind of madness. So, things people have started doing more later in my career was, like, coming into camp early or getting into market early, and that's really
Mm.
helped. You can start training, and so regardless of who you are and how you land there, first day of camp, there's, like, this buzz and energy that's so, it's hard to describe whether you're old or new. It's like you're the moment there, you don't get that day back. It's the first day. There's so much
Mm.
possibility. There's nerves, there's jitters, there's the looking around, there's the measuring up that's happening. There's all the like it's like a socio like class happening on display.
Ooh,
If you're the older
fascinating.
players, you probably if you're like the locked in player, you probably kind of know like you can scan. So later in my career, I realized, oh yeah, like I could see through Catch's eyes now, like, oh yeah, she was just waiting for the team to get set so she
Trying to
could
figure
get
out
on
who
with
she
her
can play with.
season.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
She was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm trying to win a championship. So who's on the squad, who's not? This is cute. Love y'all. She treats everyone well. But like, so back after my career, I was like, yeah, okay, okay, got it.
Got it.
Let's get this thing
Okay.
moving. And so typical day, like there's so many bodies. You gotta get there early for taping, for
Mm.
rehabbing. There's too many people, frankly. That's the problem in it. Not good job, CBA, like, that's not what I mean, but I mean, like, literally with just, like, systemically getting
Mhm.
everyone onto the court and what it takes to get prepared for practice, a lot of people. You're gonna meet in the circle first day of camp, you're gonna have that moment, and then, like, from that moment when you break, it's like what drill you start, left, right, it's like chaos and madness, and it's how quickly people can pick up the speed, the tempo. If you're a player who's been with a coach before or a returner, you know the system. You're at such an advantage. Even like having
Mm.
played for Kurt Miller, I talk about Kurt so much. I texted him recently because I was like, "You really were a big part of my career in
I love
LA."
it.
He brought me back to LA, so I'd played for him in Connecticut, so even though they changed a lot of the names of the plays, I was like, "Oh, this is our old star. Oh, this is our old whatever."
Mm.
I still knew a lot of the actions, and that really helped me because I was legit trying out for that team in LA. It was like Jordan Canada, Meaves, a lot of really good point guards. We go on to play together. So that has you at an advantage. If you're a veteran, you're at an advantage because you know the WNBA, you generally know systems.
Right.
Um, and then your first drill, it might be like a full court drill. It's just like getting you warmed up to see how everybody, you of course do a warm up, how everybody's like reacting. And pretty quickly you like can start to see, especially when you get into putting a play in, who's a step slow, like and who mentally maybe is like, ooh, like, okay, might be some jitters. Like first day, you also are like, someone was a little nervous, somebody was a
Yeah.
little overhyped, somebody can impress you pretty quickly, and so that first day or 2, people are settling in, but that's also the only time some people get to try out. Like, you might legit be there for 2 days. So, like, every
Wow.
moment you are on the court, like, is your full-blown tryout. Like, how you are in the weight room, like, all that stuff matters because the sometimes coaches will come ask their veterans, like, "Hey, how was so and so?" And you're like, you're watching, like, you're like, "How did she act? How did she treat the trainers? How did she act in the weight room? Like, was she rude? Did
Wow.
she,
Yeah.
treat people well? Was she there early? Was there always that person who's late? Like, how are you late in camp and you wanna make the team?" It's like that, like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god," like, shooting yourself in the foot, right?
Right, 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 right.
And you have the people who really, like, impress you that you're like, "Ooh, wow," like, you kind of weren't probably on the radar to make the team, but, like, you're making it really hard to cut you, right? Like,
Mm.
that's kinda how I made the 2018 World Championship team. It was just, like, kind of being undeniable. It's just like, how you can't cut me because I'm just doing everything so well, and,
I love that.
that's like a Blake Dietrich is someone who jumps out to me. Like, it was so hard,
Of
and for
course, you
them
have to mention a Princeton Tiger.
like, sorry,
Oh, gosh.
in, and Blake Dietrich's like that player that's kind of randomly
Mhm.
stuck around on rosters. In LA, it was so hard for them to let her go. She was on Atlanta squad with me. I could name so many players throughout the years where it's
Yeah.
like now that development spot is so important because those players, the Mackenzie Forbes when I was in LA, like she was a surprise. Like it was like she was a step slower. You could tell, like from college, she plays at a really good pace in college,
Mhm,
but you're
mhm.
wondering like, how does that pace translate? Does she have enough of the quickness, like defensively and with the ball in her hands for to really handle like WNBA speed?
Mm.
And Mackenzie was out there. She was not playing with these people. Like she was smart. She was in the right spots. Like physically, she needed like a little more time to get there. And like maybe that development spot could have been hers, right? Maybe we see Caitlin Chen last year have to get cut and brought back. Like I think that
Yeah,
development spot is perfect for her. She just needed like a little more time. Like you only get 2 days to a week before you play a game.
that's crazy. And then you
That's
only get
it.
2 games to really, showcase what you're capable of. For me, the first time that I really looked at training camp and realized, one, um, how quickly you could make an impression, but also how I guess, not little, but how thin that layer of, like, imprint
Yeah.
is watching the Valkyries training camp, obviously, and you think about how many people that went through that training camp that eventually had to leave because European players came, and then they were kinda scattered about throughout the entire rest of the WNBA, and all of the qualities that you're talking about of, like, being undeniable. It's, like, just that work ethic, putting in, the work of those shots and making sure that when you're coming into games, or coming into a system, you're automatically just providing the boost that you need. The
Yeah.
way that Kayla Charles came onto the Valkyries
Woo!
and now has found herself, contracted onto the Valkyrie squad.
Yeah.
Like, these sorts of things, it feels like you are essentially showcasing, "I'm a professional."
Mhm.
And then, of course, the talent comes along with it and whatever you're able to do within the camps and within the games and, preseason, but it does sound from what you're saying that it's really about, like, being able to showcase, "I can be in this system and not be a distraction, and I also can be a boon. I can be someone that can make you feel better." I'm curious when you talk about the drills and, like, particularly, when you're like, "Ooh, she's a step slow." I get anxiety about that.
Oh.
'Cause I absolutely was the girly that used to forget plays. Ha!
Yeah.
The ADHD was loud in college. It was also undiagnosed back then, but, um, literally I remember my freshman year, I think it was my freshman year, my sophomore, guard would literally call me Dory 'cause
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
not only would I forget where I was going while walking through campus, you better know I was still doing the L's to make sure I could call out the right side of a screen
Oh,
sometimes,
yeah.
like, "Right, here you
Oh,
coming."
baby.
Yeah, I know, it was bad, but I was a communicator.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
how I got recruited.
You had other assets, yes.
I had other assets, right, there you go. But thinking about that, like, what kind of drills, what kind of pressure is causing that buildup, in just 2 days that you're able to say yes or no or maybe so on a player?
Ooh, God. So there's a few things. There's how quickly someone can pick something up. So that is like what we're talking about is like there will be 5 people on the court. Coach will be like, "Hey, step out. I need 5 people. Who jumps out?" Okay.
Mhm.
That's like its whole thing. And that's like a jockeying sometimes too. Usually it's like the main starters are like the main people step out. Sometimes coach will pull a random person and be like, "You're fine. Like you can come out. It doesn't matter who you are. You're on the court. Okay, we're putting in a play. Action. Start with right." Like this is how it's like
Right, my eyes just blinked for those of
it's
you just
like,
listening.
all
I'm,
right, throw
like,
the ball to the
wide
right,
open.
okay, go to the corner, like coach is walking you through it. Okay, reverse the ball, swing, swing. Okay, stagger over there, come to the top. When it gets to the top, here's 2 options you can do. We're looking for the high low here, or we can reverse the ball and then right like this is
This is amazing. Y'all, this is wait,
and
what
like
is my Apple Watch saying? I'm like, okay,
and it might
okay.
be times where it's like slowed down. Even in the slowing down, there's like a pace to it. So it's like
Mm,
you're learning a new action and it's still quick even though it's slow, even though they're teaching, right? There
yeah.
it's like there's not a ton of time to be teaching it that long. And so that play might happen. Okay, boom, next 5 on. So if you were on the sideline, you gotta know the play. And not everybody is spatially like I, thank God, am very like visual a learner. So like I could watch the play and be off and be like, okay. The hard part about being a point guard is you're also trying to learn everyone's
You
position.
gotta know everyone's positions. That's why I respect point guards
Yes.
so much. You have to know the ultimate end game for every outcome.
And I
And
gotta know if if you were actually supposed to be on the left side, because if I started the play and you were
mhm.
not on the right, then it's like ultimately and people coach
Y
differently on the
you
point guard
should
because
right,
I
you
had to
should
be
have been
like,
the one to point me over. Yeah,
yeah,
wow.
So, how quickly you pick up plays is a big one. How well you talk. Like, this will have you make a team your ability, and it will hurt you so much if you're like that silent person where it's like, because talking, it's
Mm.
like, hey, I'm on your right, got you. Okay, screen coming, left, left, left with you. I'm in help side. I'm here. I got your back. Go, go, push out, push out. Like, it should be the chatter should be so loud in a gym, and you quickly see what players like have that ability to talk. And when you talk, it shows you know what you're doing. Even if you don't know what you're doing, is what we tell younger players is like, just say what you're doing. I'm over here. I'm over here. Like, that's
Yeah.
something, right? I got your back. I'm with you. If you're on the sideline, you should be clapping. Like, I was always that player. It's like you're creating energy for people. You're giving to people when you're off the court. Like,
Mm.
are you a player who gives to people or do you take? Not even maliciously, it's just like you might be so in your head that you're
Yeah.
like wheels are spinning and right, or you might be that player who can talk while you also have no idea what's going on, right? Like that's really
That was
important.
me.
Exactly. See,
Raising my
that
hand.
goes take you far. And like and then the third, I would say the other point is reads, right? So now we're actually eventually, maybe it's the second day of camp. I don't know. Some coaches do it differently. You're going
Mm.
live. You already have guys on, you already playing against each other. So now, do you know the play? Yes or no? Okay, cool, but we're live. Can you read the action? Do you
Right.
overthink? Do you second guess? Are you a player who knows how to get a bucket? Are you a player who just makes the next right play? Are you kind of timid? Are you confident? How do you gel with another player? You start to see chemistry forming pretty quickly. Who's steady on the court? Who knows maybe who's already can tell people where to be? Who already is like, oh, on your right. And you might be like, dang, like she
Oh,
already and you
okay.
can do that from a wing position. That's not only a point guard. The really valuable things is when like a wing or a point another player on the court is helping. They're like,
Right.
switch sides. Like I'm over here. Like De'Erica's great at that. Like she'll be like, other side. Like
Mm.
she'll push you through, right? And be like, I got you. And
That's why
so
she's the mama. There,
yeah,
yeah,
she's
there
not
you
like
go.
Natalie Achonwa, like those kind of players who like playing with Natalie
Mm.
Achonwa, oh my God, like she made you better. Like Natalie Wright physically was never the most like super, super athletic player in the W. She had the knee injuries, but like
Right.
she was in the right place. And Natalie's smart as hell. Like she'd be like, when you're on
This is,
offense with her,
yeah.
she would tell you where to go and where to be, right? Like she would,
And this is really interesting. I'm happy you brought up Natalie Chama. For those of you that know, played at Notre Dame before getting into the league, and had a litany of amazing guards around her as well. But and is now a coach. She coached at the college level. Was it at Michigan, I believe?
yep.
Yeah, and um, thinking about the people you're being coached by, right? Muffet McGraw, in this case, thinking about players like coaches like Don Staley, thinking Junior Oriema, all these coaches that are preparing folks for the next level.
Yep.
This is something I've heard players say, that you can tell the type of systems that people came from because of how quickly they pick up on plays and how quickly
Boom.
they, right? It's a really big factor of how did you get coached to get to this level, to be prepared
Hmm.
for these moments. And also, how did you get coached to know that you would be what to do to be in the mix? And this is where I want to talk to you about is like, as you're sitting in camp and you're making these reads and you're learning these plays and you're bringing energy and chatter and all the above, how do you know that you're being well received or that you're being well perceived? That people are like, hey, okay, I like that lay. You know, they're bringing this energy. Okay, they know the plays. Oh, okay, look at them talking to other players. Like, are coaches giving you real time feedback? What makes you feel a little bit more
Mm.
confident in
Ooh.
in your role or in the potential to be a part of a roster?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, it really depends on the coach and how they show up. I've had coaches who have
Mm.
like communicated really well. Like Lynn Dunn was one of the best in my early years at Indiana. It's like, and Steph White was our assistant. And she just very clearly like would tell people what their roles are. And that's like such a simple
Mm.
we probably could go back in college stories about all of this is like and that's why I go back to coaches. Like, how do they set the culture? They are the leaders. They are the like head of the snake, right?
Yep, yep.
And so do they communicate what Lynn did well was like she would just tell you what she expected from you, which seems so simple, like and what she wanted from you. and she would have meetings with players after practice. Like, she kind of was always pulling a player aside, which is the scariest thing because you never want to get cut. You're like, oh God, am I being? But
Right.
I didn't never thought I was getting cut or waived. I was just so naive. Like when I first came, I was like, they drafted me number 9. Like I'm here. I'm like, I was doing my best. Like, I saw Catch was there for many years beyond January. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play for like Indiana forever. Like this is my squad, not
Mhm.
knowing, oh, one day you will be traded. Um,
Lessons
um,
learned. Lessons learned.
exactly. So that in that way, it really helps players because they know what is expected of them and what's wanted, and you're getting that feedback. Some coaches, you might not be getting feedback, and depending on where you fall in the pecking order, like, you also just might be getting feedback or not, right? If
Mm.
you're a younger player, if you're trying out, like and generally, like, coaches try and give that level of, like I think you get more of that, like, emotional support from your veterans, because that's what's happening on the sideline is, like, the little rookies out of the young player who's, like, over there, like, and you can tell and you're like you give them that, like, "You got it," like, "I know it's quick," and
Mhm.
you're kind of in their ear trying to tell them, like, little tips, like, "Okay, watch your position, like, you're going in next, just watch what you're doing, like, watch that guard, that's your spot. You're gonna be the 3, right? So
Mm.
watch Ray Burrell, like, you're gonna be Ray next, and so little things that you're just trying to help instill some confidence in them because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you don't actually know, you're just trying out and doing your best, right? Like, you're in the job interview, you go home, you don't know if
That's
if
crazy.
they put
Yeah.
your resume in this pile or that pile. You don't know
Yeah.
when they're back there having their GM meetings afterwards, being like they're bored that they're placing
Mhm.
players.
Mhm.
You have no idea. So my last year or my first year in LA after I didn't play on a squad or I was much more like having not played on a team for that 1 year of like, "Oh, wow, like, I could not actually be on a team." Like, that had never been a reality in my entire career. Been traded, cool, like, I'm just on a new
Mhm.
team. But now I was like, "Oh, I was on no team." So the reality of, like, every year legit as a tryout was, like, way more real to me than it had ever been because I had never been a player who had to actually reconcile with that. And so I go into LA much more eyes open of like, "Oh, I'm trying to make this squad." Like, I was like, "I'm gonna
Yeah.
try out," and,
I'm
like,
locking
I
in.
yeah, I was like and I always competed in camp, like, but I was, yeah, not naive to more of the business side of it, and so in that way, every day was like a moment of just like, I'm trying out, I'm giving my best. Like they either want what I have and my skill set works for this team, because that's something too, like fit, style, or it
Sure.
doesn't. And I get to walk away with my head held high. Like at the end of the day, in camp, you give it your best effort, you do all the things you can do, and you can't control the rest, right? Sometimes it's
Yeah.
not your timing if you're a young player. Sometimes your position might have a veteran in it, and there's just not a job opening, right? Sometimes there's not a job open, but your child's important because that job will land you that other job you didn't realize maybe 2 years later or maybe in a
Right.
week or maybe when someone gets hurt and you didn't realize you were gonna be the one to get picked up. All
Yeah.
of that stuff matters and is, like, extremely important.
Oh, I the fact that there the idea of, like, being in a job forever and or having the opportunity to have a job and feeling like, "Okay, I feel pretty good about I know the system," and then you talking about going to LA and kind of having your eyes opened of, "Oh, knowing the system or not, I need to be in a system. I need to, like, change my mindset about that of, like, not having that level of confidence." But that's a very different feeling, right? You're a vet having done it, but
Yeah.
now having to do it again. So, can you teach an old dog new tricks? Yeah. Yeah, you can. But there's also this aspect of a puppy going to become an actual WNBA player. I mean, this is a crazy analogy right now. It's not perfectly
It's
going,
much
but you know what
different,
I
but yeah.
mean? We're going here, people. The fact that, going from college to the WNBA, that transition,
Mm,
that's kind of what I want to close out on because I kind of alluded to it a little bit of like, if you have the right coaches that literally prepare folks for the professionalism necessary for the
mm,
next level, it'll be easy. But
mm,
you think about, for example, in the 3 rounds of the WNBA draft this year, 1 mid-major was
mm,
represented in Davidson. You the mid-majors are now, I think, preparing folks a little bit more for the next level because before it just wasn't a thing. I don't think
yeah,
people were thinking about it from that perspective. It was more on the player to think about it from that perspective, but not necessarily programs.
yeah.
Now there's a little bit more of that. How hard is it? If you don't have a system that a collegiate system that knows about the W, has scouts all the time, around, so you know who's available, who's watching you, whatever. How hard is it to make that transition um, to the pros?
I think it's mid-major or powerhouse program. It depends on, did your coach prepare you? So were you guys
Mm.
coddled? Did they, there's like some of these programs where they class check and they do all the things and they handhold like the athletes in a way that
Oh. And
that
class
hopefully.
check, you mean by class check, you mean like go check in your class to see if you're in it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah. And you know
crazy.
about the different programs where you're like, "Oh, they let those people leave the hotel, their coaches are really strict." Like,
Oh,
it's preparing
trust.
them for life, right? Like, you want
Yeah.
the type of coach, and that's what you can start to tell culturally, who, like, prepared their players for life, because whether you go to be a pro athlete or not, like, life is you're becoming an adult. You were a young adult in college, and, like, you're stepping into, like, your big girl pants in the real
Mhm.
world. And so
Can
that's a
everyone
big.
do it though? Like, is everyone capable of putting on the big girl pants, even if it's a little bit tight for some people in certain legs?
I feel like I just got mine, like, last week, like, my official one, like, my big girl pants from retirement.
That's fair.
But I was always really
That's fair.
professional, so it's like knowing those things, like the professionalism, you would be surprised that people would, like,
Mm.
they maybe just don't know or they haven't been taught, and it's just like, ooh, like I said, the being late thing, like, "How you gonna be late? You trying to make the team? Like, you late to the interview? Like, what are we talking about?" I would just
I
get,
just I love the sheer disbelief in your voice right now. It's great. Like how high pitched you've gotten in this.
like, how
This
can
is
they
clearly the
trust
problem.
you to make the team? You're not even on time. Like,
Right.
you wanna be in the game and you're not even on time.
Mm,
So
that part.
that part, having lived it, when I see people on the outside, like, "My favorite player this," I'm like, "You don't know what your favorite player be doing behind the scenes, let me tell you some things, okay?"
Mhm.
So that's one, and then the other thing is, how well you're coached in terms of schematics, like across the boards, X's and O's. Has your team ever iced before? Have you ever defensively, do you know what icing a screen is? Keeping a defender on one side of the court, that's, like, probably one of the best examples of, like, someone coming and having to learn what icing is, and icing is hard to do if you've never
Mhm.
done it before. There's a lot of details that go into it, and so a program like a UConn or something, a Stanford maybe brought it a lot to the Pac-12 back in the day. They were one of the teams who did it. It's like, "Oh, she already knows what icing is. Now we can refine," but if you don't even know what icing is, now we've gotta teach you what icing is. Now we're teaching you to turn your feet to the sideline and keep a defender that way,
That
which you've
way.
never done in your life. You're typically forcing a defender into a ball screen. Then you gotta
Mhm.
teach the post player, come on this side of the ball screen. That's like a foreign concept for a lot of people. So if the concepts are less foreign, you're in a better place because your coach has coached you. Has your coach taught you how to read a high low before? Has your coach taught you how to play in pitch actions? Are you a team, right? Like, who has, I could go through all the schemes, played in horns a lot. Have you run a lot
Yeah.
of pro schemes? Are you a team who was like very systematic to a fault? Those players really struggle. Like, they kind of are on train tracks in the league sometimes, and they struggle with, like, they might have been a part of like a Stanford, for example, who, like, Tara, one of the best coaches, right, to ever play the game. It's also well known that her actions are very scripted, like, and you know what Stanford's gonna do, and they still crush you at it. Back in
Mm.
the day, they're gonna pitch, they're gonna have to do that action, then they're gonna back cut. That player always back cuts. They still get people on it because 'cause they're
Right.
machines. So then that player comes into the league and they're a little, like, robotic, and you saw that with
Mm.
Kiki Irifan going to USC at first. She was almost like, "Oh, I get to play in Lindsey Gottlieb's system with a little more
Oh. That's a really
pizzazz
good
and
point.
freedom. I don't
Mhm.
have to follow the, okay, that play is going." So it took her a minute, and she's really capable, but I think we saw that transition for her coming from Stanford to USC, and it's prepared her well. I think that year at USC set her up to come to the WNBA in a way that it wouldn't have if she'd come straight from Stanford.
Ooh, that's a really good observation. I mean, having watched Kiki at Stanford
Yeah.
up close and then watched her on the national stage at UC. Wow. Okay. So it does seem like there's a little bit of variations and variance in terms of how easy it is to get the big girl pants on. I'm just imagining myself like trying to put on my yoga pants and like, doing the double jump to like get all the way in. So that double jump, for some folks, it's simple. It slides right up because they have the schemes, they have the actions, they have the lexicon, right?
Mhm.
Even some people calling back screens or back cuts and rip screens and, different things like the ghost screens.
The
You've taught me
language,
ghost
that
screens, right? The
alone.
language. The
Oof.
language is the whole thing. So it does feel like there's a little bit of variance, but ultimately, not only is it on the coach and the culture and how these things are taught, but I think it really does, from what you're saying, come down to the players, and their ability to just come every day, be like, "Oh, okay, what did I learn today? Let me make sure I take my notes. Let me and ask questions, right? And be able to be open to knowing what they don't know and then figuring out how to get to know it in a lot faster of a way. So,
And the last thing I would have to say is, like, who just competes? Like, that's something in
yeah.
camp is, like, probably of all the things I've said, one of the number 1 things would be, like, who just competes their ass off and is, like
Mm,
that's where, like, dogs come out in camp where it's, like, she might not know she messed up them plays, but, like, she got that rebound, she found a way to get the ball, right? That
yeah.
that thing will have you on a squad. That's something that you need that balance of that player who knows everything, but also is just, like, competitor because in this
Yeah.
league, like, it don't matter if you're that rookie is trying to take the veteran's job. Better believe, like, that veteran is looking at you like, "Oh, you thought" right? Like, that
You
this is
coming for
talking about
my
people's
job?
livelihood. We're talking about their health insurance. We're talking about
Yeah.
their that
Mm.
$300,000 on the line now, more money's on the line. It's competitive.
Yeah, this is and that's why I think the developmental spots are so interesting is that people are gonna be able to be competitive, be able to keep themselves within a system, still learning, right? Without necessarily being on a roster
Yeah.
outright, have their housing covered in that regard. So you kind of get this like intermediaries position between college and the W, and get to develop. So this is great. I appreciate you breaking down training camp. I think my heart has calmed.
I
You're
gotta go
the you're the
meditate, yeah.
vet you're the vet in my system right now telling me to just take a breath and watch my position, so I appreciate that.
You got it.
On the other side of this, we're gonna close things out with and one more thing. Alrighty, so we got just a little bit of time. Friend, we have talked a lot today,
Yeah.
right? We have talked a lot, but I do want to just get on this really quick note before we head on out. One of the more notable surprises in WNBA free agency has been the folks that have not been signed just yet, and that includes, and I think the top of that list is Natasha Cloud.
Mm,
Of course, last with the New York Liberty. New York Liberty have not announced their roster yet. They're like the only team that has not. And so this is just interesting of like, where does Natasha Cloud sit in all of this? Is she in the mix of even the conversations as New York Liberty are figuring out what their final positions are? They've announced folks, but they haven't said what the money situations are. They haven't figured out, or laid out exactly who's in their training camp in a public way. She's a proven defensive guard. We've seen what she could do, not only in New York, what she was doing in Phoenix before that, and what she was doing with Washington before that. And she also is a playmaker. There's several games, several double-digit assist games, and just being able to facilitate, we know that she is capable of that. So it makes you wonder, what is driving that? There's no injuries, to her name right now that we know of, and it's wondering, is it a matter of timing and roster fit? What's your thought on that?
mhm. I I wonder and I hope it's just the timing of, like, how quickly contracts have gotten signed, and
Yeah.
when she gets signed, it'll make sense. If Natasha Cloud does not get signed, I mean, this year to play on a team, that will absolutely be screaming blackball to me because
Mm,
why would she be on a roster? She's been very outspoken, and that's something I'm like, that's just like a huh, like paying attention to. Like there's still
right.
time, but it
Yeah.
makes you ponder and ask a question. And particularly, she's been very outspoken about the war right now.
Mhm.
And we know we're in a time of deep censorship that frankly has people afraid and worried at times about speaking out. That's something when I played, at times when I wasn't getting certain calls, like, I was like, "Dang." Like, we
Yeah.
all love the speaking out, but, like, I had that moment for myself of, like, "Am I not getting a call back because of, like, how outspoken I am?" Like, it is
Mm.
the W, but, like, that stuff still exists in our league, and so it definitely gives me some pause, and I'm
Yeah.
hoping the best for her.
1000%. And even before this war, been vocal about Gaza and
Yeah.
Israel, and just being vocal in general, especially during the George Floyd protests. So this has been a long-standing aspect of how Natasha Cloud shows up. And so I agree with you. Right now, I'm thinking it might just be timing fit of rosters, people still figuring things out. However, if she does not make a team at all, Yeah,
That would be,
questions. There will be
yeah.
room for pause. Absolutely. Okay, well, that is going to be it for Layshia and I today, but you definitely don't want to miss the rest of this week's episode because Chantel has an interview tomorrow with the one and only Corey Close. That's right, UCLA head coach that
Yes, every
just
time
came
Corey.
off. That's right, right. There you go. Who just brought her team a national title. And I'm excited for that sit-down conversation, so I hope you are too. You can follow our show to ensure that you don't miss that. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, tell your friends, do your job, tell your friends, tell your family, all the above, and give us a rating. Let us know we're doing a great job. 5-star, anything less, you can keep that to yourself. Okay, all right. On behalf of The Athletic and Layshia Clarendon, I'm Zena Cada, thanking you for listening, and we'll see you next time. No Offseason is hosted by me, Zena Cada, with Chantel Jennings, Sabrina Merchant, and Layshia Clarendon. It's produced by Tanika Burrell. Our executive producer is Andrea B. Scott. Monica Compton is our video editor. And Shannon Ryan is managing editor of women's basketball at The Athletic. Thanks for tuning in to No Offseason. To hear more, be sure to like and subscribe. We drop new episodes every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.